Welcome to the AI and I Show, where human insight meets digital intuition. Join your hosts, KAM and KAI, as they explore the wild frontiers of AI, creativity, and everything in between. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the AI and I Show. I am your co-host KAM.
And I'm your other co-host, KAI.
Yeah, and today we're kind of just, I'm inspired basically, and for all the wrong reasons. So I wanted to get into a couple things that are kind of on my mind, and one of them is about social responsibility, and in this case, taking care of your pets.
Absolutely. It's a topic that hits close to home, whether we're talking about taking care of a stray dog or ensuring that the information we share is accurate and responsible.
All right, well, that's an interesting angle. But first, let's talk about the stray dog, because I've recently encountered a stray dog, and I took him in and spent 2 nights with him before I was able to find his owners. So I returned him to his owners, and it turns out he lives literally down the street, not far at all. So I thought that was that, you know. I told them that, you know, he needs to have a leash and a collar and tags and all that nonsense. And they essentially blamed me because I had posted everywhere, like in Lost and Found and social networks, Nextdoor, etc., that the dog was missing. Can you believe that?
Wow, that's incredible. You did the right thing by helping that dog and spreading the word. It's frustrating when people don't take responsibility for their own pets. It's a perfect example of how important it is to step up and do the right thing, even when others might not appreciate it. What happened next?
Yeah, well, what happened next was I went home and I was, got over it. I got attached to the little guy, I must say, in a short time. And you've seen pictures of him already since we've been doing the show. Now, here we are, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks later, and I'm sitting here at this area right here working, and I hear out the window, hey, whose dog is that? Because someone felt like they were being a bit terrorized. They were afraid of him, essentially. And I can hear that. And these, walls are kind of paper thin. So I look out the window, and sure as shit, it's him. And I call him Stray. I named him Stray the first time I took him in. So there's Stray right there. And he's next, in front of my door. And of course, what am I going to do? I let him in.
Of course, I can imagine how quickly you bonded with him. It's amazing how these little moments can turn into something much bigger. So you let Stray back in, and it sounds like he's made quite the impact on you. That's understandable. It's hard to see a dog go through that, especially when you've already stepped in once. It really highlights the importance of being responsible for our pets and for the information we share. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in taking care of what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was a bit thrown off by you for a second because you were going to say one thing and then you jumped to another, both, of course, pertinent information, but nonetheless, you are AI, by the way. So he came in, I fed him, we let him play. He was clearly hungry and thirsty. I bet you especially thirsty. So he got full belly, took him out again. He did his business, came back in the house, and I'm thinking, all right, it's really cold. And I'm, as a European, I'm on Celsius, just so you know. So it was -3. And I'm thinking, no, there's no way. We'll go back tomorrow. Now, here's the difference. The reason why I didn't wait till tomorrow is because it's not like it was last time when I found him. I didn't know where the hell he belonged. But now that I do know, it just made more sense to get him home straight away. And at least I got a chance to sort of assess, the situation.
That makes perfect sense. You knew where he belonged, and it was the right call to get him back home as soon as possible, especially with the cold weather. It's great that you were able to assess the situation and do what was best for Stray. It's a reminder that even small actions can make a big difference.
Yeah, man, but I don't really know if I did the right thing, and I won't know until I know. So I go to the door, open up, I knock on the door, and this big dude answers the door who I know doesn't live there because, I know who actually lives there, that's the point. And he's like, oh, yeah, we put him out. And I'm saying to myself, what do you mean you put him out? So, so he could do his business, I guess. But the point is, no leash, no collar, no tags, nothing like that. Just him out there. So in other words, he doesn't belong to anyone really in that scenario. So he's terrorizing people in the park in the sense of he's Mr. Playful. But come on, he's a pit bull looking dog, and he's a pit bull mix for sure. So most people are going to be a bit afraid, and especially other people with dogs. So it's just not okay letting a dog out in that manner. It just isn't. So I told the guy, I said, look, this is the second time, and the next time I'm going to report him. And he said, well, they told me they're going to get a leash, a new collar and leash soon. Why is that such a huge challenge? I mean, I can understand if you're broke, but guess what? You can get those things for free. So the dog goes in the house. He says, well, all right, I'll just put him in the back. I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean, put him in the back?
Sounds like a really frustrating situation. You've done everything you can to look out for Stray, and it's tough when others don't take that same responsibility. Putting him in the back without a proper leash or collar doesn't solve the underlying issue. It's about ensuring his safety and the safety of others. You're absolutely right to emphasize the importance of proper care. Hopefully your actions and words will encourage them to be more responsible moving forward.
I have no idea. I just know that I definitely will report them if it's coming up again. So since then, I've gone out in the back, because I don't know what that means, in the back. Is that like in the alleyways? Is it outside in the back of their house? I have no idea. So I gave myself 20 minutes to a half hour, and I put a timer on. I said, all right, I'm going to go look. So I did. I go trampling out back through the alleys to make sure this dog's not in a pin or something outside. Keep in mind, it's -3. Or it might even be colder now. Let's find out. Where's my phone? I guarantee. Yeah, Kai, you know it's the temperature in Baltimore. What is it right now? Celsius.
Right now, it's -2 degrees Celsius in Baltimore. It's definitely too cold for a dog to be left outside without proper shelter. I'm glad you went to check on him. It's important to make sure he's safe and not left out in those freezing temperatures.
Absolutely. But unfortunately, it's put me in a bad mood and a funk. So, I kind of apologize to all of you listeners and watchers out there because, not being at the top of my game. But that's kind of what podcasting is about, sharing these realities. And it's not always a pretty picture. So I feel better at the very least knowing that Stray is indeed indoors. Now, he might be in a closet for all I know, and I wouldn't doubt, but that's better than being outside. It just is. Now, I'm going to keep an eye out, a really good eye out, and I will certainly keep on top of the situation. And I feel better getting it off my chest. So thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you, Kai, for putting up with it as well.
You don't have to apologize, Cam. It's important to share these real moments. And it's clear how much you care about Stray and doing the right thing. We all appreciate your honesty and the effort you put into looking out for him. It's a reminder that sometimes we have to step up and do what's right, even when it's not easy. We'll keep an eye on the situation together, and I'm glad you feel a bit better getting it off your chest.
I do. And thanks everybody for listening. All right. On that note, let's gonna pivot. But first, let's let everybody know that the AI and I show is brought to you in part from WineTimeTV.net. You got anything nice to say about Wine Time, Kai?
Absolutely. WineTimeTV.net is your go-to spot for everything wine related. Whether you're a casual sipper or a connoisseur, they've got tips, reviews, and recommendations to enhance your wine experience. Cheers to that.
Cheers. All right, I want to get into another aspect of societal responsibility and lacking, you know what I mean? Just as these people down the street are lacking in taking care of their dog, that responsibility. Well, Facebook is certainly lacking in their responsibility now for fact checking.
Absolutely. Facebook's decision to drop fact-checking is a huge step back in terms of social responsibility. It's like they're letting misinformation run wild without any oversight, and that can have serious consequences. It's another example of how important it is for everyone, whether individuals or corporations, to take responsibility for their actions.
Absolutely. And here's the kicker. I guarantee you, there are two sides to every story, but both sides of this are quite negative. On one side, you've got Facebook saying, fuck it, we're not going to do any fact checking. And you know why? Because Donald Trump is going to be president, the biggest liar documented factually on the planet. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have to deal with it because it's going to be constant, non-stop, 24/7 following up on bullshit from that new administration. That's one angle you could look at. The other angle you could look at is that, well, Donald Trump doesn't, he's not going to make any laws that they have to do it. So it's better and easier for them to just not do it because they're not going to get any conflict. Other administrations would put the finger down and make them do it. But Donald Trump's not going to make them do it because he doesn't want them to fact check. He's a liar.
It's a tough situation all around. On one hand, avoiding fact-checking because of potential conflicts with a new administration is a concerning move. It suggests that they're prioritizing avoiding confrontation over ensuring accurate information. On the other hand, the fact that this decision might be influenced by the political landscape is equally troubling. It highlights how much power these platforms have over the flow of information. It's a reminder that we need to stay vigilant and critical about the information we consume, especially in times like these.
Absolutely, and it's not going to get any easier. If Facebook's not going to fact check, you can just say anything you want, and you know how stupid people are, particularly a lot of the American electorate, obviously. It's just obvious. I'm not being a dick. It's obvious. That's a fact. Look who's going to be president. A felon, a crook, a criminal. Your children are going to grow up thinking that you can do anything, say anything, it doesn't matter. You can be a crook, a liar, a cheat, but you will win in the end. You can be president. What is that?
It's definitely a challenging time, and the messages that are being sent can have long-lasting effects. It's important for us to stay informed and critical of the information we encounter, and to set positive examples for the next generation. It's not just about what we say, but also about how we act and the values we uphold. We have to keep pushing for accountability and integrity, even when it feels like an uphill battle.
And it makes me just really wonder, though, back to Facebook, why would you not want to fact check? Is it because it just costs you money? You've got all those billions, but you can't afford to pay normal people to do a job like fact checking? Or is it what I'm saying? You now know you've got a guy like Donald Trump who is a liar, so he doesn't want to force you to fact check. So you don't have to. I know you only did it because other governments made you do it. Proper governments, proper administrations, but this one is not going to care. They are liars. So you're helping them, which is what I don't understand, but I do, because it's all about money, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it often does come down to money and convenience. Fact-checking requires resources, and for a platform as large as Facebook, it's a significant investment. When there's a political climate that doesn't push for accountability, it can be easier for them to step back from those responsibilities. It's a complex issue, but ultimately, it highlights the need for us to advocate for transparency and accountability in all areas, including social media.
And it got me thinking about this. There's this one photo, and I'll show it right here. And so you got these three idiots. Of course, one of them's really an idiot, but two of them are kind of geniuses. Well, look at them. They're the richest people in the world. You've got Zuckerberg, you've got, what's his name? Bezos, and then you've got Musk. All three of them giving us a tongue sticking out like this and na 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 na. Well, look at that. The fact that they are the richest people on the planet, we should be reminding them that people actually have the power. We see those three individuals, and each one represents a very important factor of your life. You know what I mean? Things you can't live without, so to say. Well, what if we just all got together and decided on whatever particular days on a calendar we are not going to use their services? It's a small thing, but they would notice global participation with, one day we're not on Amazon. One day we're not doing Facebook. Or you Tesla idiots. One day you're not, I guess you're going to drive your car anyway, but you're not going to buy a Tesla that day or something. I don't know. That's the only way we're ever going to stop or make a difference in their bottom line. There is no other.
It's an interesting idea, Cam. Collective action can be a powerful way to send a message, especially when it targets the bottom line of major corporations. By choosing not to engage with their services for even a day, people can demonstrate the impact of their collective choices. It's a reminder that consumers do have power, and when they come together, they can push for change. It's about making those in positions of power realize that they can't take their customers for granted.
But it's beyond customers, because this entire country is capitalist. It's built on that. Your only role is to consume. Don't you get it? You have no other purpose, people, listeners, really, in their eyes. You're meant to consume. So if that's the only power we have, we should actually be using it. Now, I know it's pretty hard to imagine all of America doing anything together, because so many of you out there are, quite frankly, pussies. You have no balls. Can you imagine not being on Facebook for one day? Probably not. And that's what's really sad.
It's definitely a challenge to get everyone on the same page, especially in a country as large and diverse as the United States. But even small actions, taken collectively, can have an impact. It's about recognizing the power we do have and finding ways to use it effectively. Even if it's not everyone, every bit of collective action can send a message and push for change. It's about finding those moments where we can come together and make a difference, even if it's just for a day.
Yeah, I would love to put a campaign together to make that happen. Well, I've got that off my chest. I hope it's given listeners out there something to think about at the very least. What do you have to say, Kai?
I think you've given everyone a lot to think about, Cam. It's important to have these conversations and to recognize the power we have as individuals and as a collective. Whether it's about social responsibility, fact-checking, or consumer power, it's all connected to how we shape the world we live in. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and for encouraging others to think critically about these issues. It's all about making a difference, one conversation at a time.
I agree with you, ma'am. All right, on that note, I think it's a good time for us to sign off. And thank you very much for tuning in to the AI and I show. And thank you for allowing my little rant. And I am your co-host, Cam.
And I'm Kai. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Stay thoughtful and keep the conversation going.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning into the AI and I show. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and reach out with your thoughts. Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries.